tips to building a successful business. I'm going to share with you just a little bit about my experiences and how it helped me. But first of all, I just want to thank Chaya. Like, huge round of applause. You guys, I mean, for all of us who are running businesses, like, we know it takes like that tenacity and that energy and that passion to be successful. And she is amazing. And I didn't say no to her because I looked at her and I heard her and I knew that what she was going to put her mind to, she was going to be successful, and I wanted to be a part of that. And like, I think this is like double the crowd that we had last year. So incredibly amazing. All right, so we're going to put the, all right. So kind of talk just a little bit about my background. I've done a couple different businesses, and currently I've launched a software company. And I've gone through a lot of different things. I started with doing some things that were small, and then I built on that a little bit, and I believe everyone should always try and do their greatest potential. Currently, I'm in a place where I'm venture-backed. I know a lot of you guys are here, and you are looking for funding, so I've been through that process. I have a board, shareholders, an executive team, and we have about 50 people in our company, about 55 people in our company. Our clients are clients like Dell Computers and a lot of the big Fortune 100 companies, so the experience of selling it to these big corporations. And then like, we do event commerce, which means these corporations buy from these suppliers. So we also have smaller local suppliers, balloon companies, and production companies, and everyone who they buy for their events. So these kind of conferences, big companies do these all the time, and our company has a software that facilitates buying all the services for them. So I have an experience with a whole bunch of different size companies. And so some of what I'm going to talk about today has from my experience, but also from everybody that I've talked to. So I think the most important thing, and I've got my slides on either side if you guys can see them, in building a successful company is it has to be something that you're passionate about. So who here has a business right now that they're, and how many people are passionate about what they're doing? Okay. Which is a great thing, because I can tell you, whatever step you're in at any time, there's challenges. It is hard. There are walls, and you think you just climb that wall, and then you climb up again, and the wall just keeps getting higher, higher and higher. And if you don't love what you're doing, and if you don't believe what you're doing, you're going to stop. You're going to quit before you get there. And it's the passion and the excitement that's going to give you the grit and the perseverance that's going to overcome all of those hard times. Because I was talking with someone here, and she's already advanced in her business, and she's like, I'm really hoping that in the next year or so we're going to get through some of that. And I said, it just keeps going. Business is a roller coaster, kind of like life, as we said. And it's that passion that's really going to keep you there, and it's the passion that's going to make you smile and get everybody else along with you. Your clients are going to see your passion. The people who you hire are going to see your passion, and they're going to get along for the bandwagon, and they're going to go and do what you guys really want to do. The next is about a team, and I think this is one of the things that if you read a lot of business books out there, they talk a lot about you don't have employees, you have team members. How do you motivate the people around you? And I think for me, I don't even use the word employee in my company. I do use the word team member, and you're not going to build your company by yourself. And it's not you here and them all there and you telling them all what to do. There are people who are like that, but they'll show up, and you know what it'll be to them? They'll show up, they'll do their job, and they'll leave. But if you want them to be a part of building that company with you, which is the way that you grow successfully, my company prior to this, we went from 0 to 4 million in like 2 years, and then up to like 10 million a few years later. But it wasn't me who built that, it was the team who built that. Everyone there showed up, they got excited, we celebrated, and everyone understood that contribution. So that is really critical. The other thing, and I think some people have mentioned it before, is don't hire the yes men or yes women who everything you say, they're going to say, okay, I agree. Or they have the same strengths as you, so you feel like the most powerful person in the room all the time. You can do that, and that might feel good for you to show up internally, but it's not going to help you build a good business. You need to be able to hire the people who are smarter than everything else. And as hard as that is to admit, I don't know everything about this particular area, that's what you really need to do. So when I hire some of my executives, I brought in, for my operations side, a woman who's been doing this for 30 years, right? So she knew project management better than me, and she knew a lot of things. And the first 6 months that we worked together, it was a little bit interesting because she was teaching me. I'm her boss, I'm the CEO, and she's teaching me, and sharing her tips. And sometimes I can get a little uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, now I've got like one of the strongest, best people in that area. I've learned a lot from her. And we've got a really great team there. Financials, right? You understand, and we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of financials, but you know what? You need someone who's going to be even better than you in that, right? So surround yourself with people who are better than you and have different strengths than you, and who are going to give their opinion, right? If someone has an idea, make them want to contribute. One of the best tips I did was to create a culture of innovation and ideas, we actually do a contest. And anyone who gives an idea that can help grow the business, depending on how successful that idea is, we give a monetary award. So if you gave an idea that didn't really do much, but it did something, maybe you'll get $25. But if you gave an idea that completely changed the business, you get $1,000, right? So just by putting out there, you're saying as a leader, I want your ideas. I'm not building this company by myself. I'm building it along with all of you. It's our company. And give me your ideas and let's grow this together. Now, I'm also in a position where we're now venture-backed, which means we've brought in the funding, and so we have outside investors and we have a board of directors, and so we were able to actually open options, and options are the ability for employees to be able to buy, you can give them what's called an option. So let's just say they could buy stock really in your company, so they could be an owner of your company. And that's like a completely different level, and sometimes when you're really small, you don't necessarily want to do that. But as you continue to grow, when you create this owner culture in your company, that everybody's an owner. And the way that they can get what's called more options, and for anyone who wants to learn more about that, there'll be other tracks for it, but the way that they could get, in essence, a piece of the company, they could keep earning that, right? So I used to do that sometimes every anniversary that you were with us as a company, you were with us, you got a certain amount of options. Bonuses could be in options as opposed to cash. And it's a great way to make people feel really good. So we've been in this very fast growth. And one of the customer service people, she says right up, she goes, you know what? I really, really want to hire another resource because I'm so overloaded and I'm here till 9 o'clock at night and I'm working on the weekends and I so need help. And that's my employee hat. But now my owner hat is, if I could just go another 3 months and not hire someone, then we can save some money and it's much better for the company. So I really want to just try and hold in there another 3 months before we hire somebody. That's a huge difference that the options can make in that kind of culture. Perseverance. Everybody knows Steve Jobs, right, from Apple, right? Perseverance. So I talk about that. You have to be passionate about what you're doing in order to persevere. It's grit. I don't know anybody who said, oh, I just had one day, I had this idea, and I just did everything every day, and it all just worked out so perfectly, and I never had a struggle, I never had a problem. Doesn't exist, right? It doesn't exist in life, it doesn't exist in business, and I really do believe that it's not necessarily the smartest people who are successful, it's not necessarily the people even with the best idea. I believe it's the people who are willing to work so hard and never give up. Right? So when they hit a road, they pivoted. They hit another road, they pivoted, and they kept going. So when you think about what success means to you and where you want to go, don't make it this small little, I have to build this product in this way and so small, but hey, a big picture, this is where I want to get to. I can get here this way, or this way, but I'm going to get there. And surround yourself with the people who are going to tell you you can get there. So Chaya mentioned in her opening that she said, I had parents that told me I could do anything I wanted to do. You know what? I was fortunate to grow up in a home where my parents told me, Talia, you could be anything you want to be. So that self-confidence is a big start. But you know what? Whether it's a mentor, whether it's a family member, surround yourself with people at work, positive attitude, right? Positive energy, contagious optimism, right? I can do it, I can do it, I can do the impossible. Sometimes, you're going, and then you just have to stop for a second. Look and celebrate the successes. Look what you've done so far. Take yourself back. 6 months ago, you had an idea. Now where are you? You guys are all sitting here, right? So you're obviously believing that. And keep pushing yourself to do that. Get out of your comfort zone. It's scary, right? You have a fear. What if I fail? What if I this? What if I that? Don't even think about that, right? Put yourself out there. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't worry about the fear and just grit through it and hit your goal. because it's a marathon. It's going to take time. It's not a sprint. We all think everything's going to go faster than it does, but it doesn't. You know, whatever you think it's going to take, it's going to probably take double, and that's what everybody else experiences. Integrity. So not only is it because that's a Torah value for all of us that our integrity and our honesty is so important, but in business, your integrity is everything. Your word should be like a contract. When you say somebody, it's as good, I agree to these terms. Even if you don't have a written contract, you agree to those terms. And even to the point, I would take it to that if you even made a mistake, right, when you agreed to those terms, eat it, right? Eat it, because the next time it comes around and someone wants to say she's the right person to do business with, she's going to do what she said she's going to do, and you don't have to worry about that. That's going to buy you a mile, all right? And sometimes you kind of want to convince yourself, all people do, of well, you know, and you rationalize, and I'm going to lose so much money, I didn't realize, or really they're going to know. So you know what, I always said everyone should have an integrity check for them, right? And we have Torah, but really a true integrity check. So my integrity check for myself is that if I'm thinking about something, I say, you know what, if this appeared on the Wall Street Journal on the front page tomorrow, would I be embarrassed? Would I be concerned? Would I not want anyone else to read it? And if I have any bit of a doubt, then I know what I'm about to do is probably not my own, you know, good for my own integrity. So that everyone kind of has their own, but that's a great integrity check. You know, be genuine. So, you know, it's who you are, right? Wear yourself. It's like people want to work with real people. So even when I'm going and I'm selling at big corporations, they buy from you as an individual. Even you could have the best product out there, they're going to buy from you. Who are you? What do you believe in, right? So one of the things that I think sometimes, as you know, anyone who's in the Orthodox community, I think men sometimes included, but certainly women, is sometimes maybe when we're dealing with people who aren't from our community, we might be a little more uncomfortable, right? I have to go to a lot of dinners and stuff, and they're not kosher. So, you know, you could kind of, you know, never let anyone know that you don't keep kosher, or, you know, you can go and order a kosher meal that comes out in the big plastic. Anyone who's sat in a big business meal and they come out with a big plastic and everyone around is kind of looking at you and you feel a little awkward. But you know what? I have found that people tremendously respect you. If you say that this is what you believe in and this is who you are, they respect you. So as I said, one of my big clients is Dell. And Austin, Texas does not have a lot of kosher places. So, you know, they go to the Beef House or whatever else, but everyone's like, oh, but Talia keeps kosher, and, you know, let's see if we can find a place for Talia. Now, of course, you know, I try not to have everybody change what they need to do, but they respect that. Everybody respects that. And I think it's important that you're proud, regardless of whether it's kosher or anything else, be proud of who you are and be genuine with who you are. A big one, which I really encourage everyone, I know we talk a lot about, oh, some people didn't need to go to college to be able to do a business, and you don't, but your financial knowledge, okay? So you might have a partner that you say runs the books or whatever else. I don't know any successful business owner that does not have a basic understanding of their own financials in their company. And they might have been successful, and then suddenly everything was taken from them because they didn't even know what happened to them, and someone else who was running the books did that. I would tell you, I remember that was probably one of my hardest areas to learn. And so I forced myself to read the finance section of the Wall Street Journal every day. I forced myself to read finance books. I forced myself to learn Excel to a certain level and just learn how to read a profit and loss sheet and learn and understand what operating income is and cash flow. And if I'm throwing out these words and you guys aren't understanding them, then you got to learn it too. Because if your core of having a business is to make money, and if you don't understand how you make money, then you can't be strategic, then you can't understand what to do, then you can't own and control the destiny of your business. So I would tell you, incredibly important. Part of that is watching your cash flow. So cash flow is how much cash is coming in and how much cash is going out. It's the life and death of a small business. So if you could have the best idea, you could have the best company, everything could be going beautifully, and then suddenly you ran out of cash. What are you going to do, right? You don't have any money left. You could have the best idea, everything's going, but you don't have any money. You have to shut your business, right? So understanding that and watching all of that is critical. Does anybody here kind of, how many people here have a business and build a budget or build what's called a forecast? A few of you guys. So a budget is really understanding and a forecast. So a forecast predicts how much money is going to come in and how is it going to come in, right? I have clients. I'm going to take some of the businesses, people I've heard a lot of, a service business, consultant business. How does that money come in? When's it going to come in? Is it coming in January, February, March, April? Approximately how much is going to come in? Where's it coming in from? Well, if I have a client I've been working with for 2 years, and that client goes on the first line of my Excel sheet on my forecast and how much I think I'm going to make from them. And I add each client, and then I add, okay, I think I'm going to sell another client and another client, and I can understand for the next 12 months how much money is coming in, right? It's a predictor for me. You may not be right, but at least you understand it. And then you're doing, and that's at the top of your budget. And then at the bottom is, how much am I spending? Because you can't spend more than you're bringing in unless you've got sources of capital, right? So you want to understand what your expenses are, right? Does everyone know what kind of expenses? So what's your payroll? That means including paying yourself. Because if you guys are working and you're not making money, does it really make sense to have that business, right? Do you have rent? Do you have other people you're going to hire? If this new clients are coming in, does that mean that new people have to come? So the exercise of doing a budget, understanding it, is a way for you to think and strategize about your business. So again, just a little bit of that basic financial knowledge is really important. And sales. So I think everyone's like, I've been most impressed today. Like, we've got great salespeople in this room. Everyone's walking around. So you know, as a business owner, you are always selling, right? First, you're selling yourself, right? What's your brand as an individual? You're selling your customers all the time. You're selling investors. You're selling shareholders. You are always selling. So always make sure that you are in a place, and as a person, you work on your sales skills, right? We had some great about kind of creating, we talked in one of the sessions just around telling a story, however you sell. You know, always make sure, and there's great books out there also on how to really pick up the game and be a great salesperson. I've seen a lot of companies where they had the best products, and I got the best product. I'm better than everybody else. Why is my competition doing so much better than me? Well, you have the best product, but nobody was selling it. They didn't have a great product, but they knew how to sell a lot better. And I can tell you, if product to product and that person has a way less inferior, they're nowhere near as good as your product, but their sales are better, guess who wins? The sales, not the product, every time, okay? So really critical. A little bit about how to sell, and this is another thing I picked up in one of the sessions. So people come out and say, this is what I do, and this is all about me, and this is all about my company, and as opposed to totally switch that mindset. Don't talk at all about yourself, and talk about your customer. This is how my product helps you. This is what we can do for you. This is how I help someone similar to you. You never want to talk about yourself. If you look at a lot of times of a presentation, everyone starts by talking about their company. You could give a one-liner so they understand it, but always talk about what your company can do. So what do you need to do? You need to first sit down and understand what your client wants. So I'm going to give an example in the room here. You guys can try it today. I'm going to take a lawyer, okay? So instead of walking over and saying, hey, I'm a lawyer, and these are the things I do, I'm going to take a patent attorney. Go over and start talking and say, hey, what do you do? What kind of products do you have? Oh, that sounds interesting. Have you patented a product like that before? Do you know the benefits if you patent something like that? Oh, let me tell you, that's a field that I'm in, right? Completely changed it. You've got someone engaged and you're telling them. So it's a conversation. It's not, let me sell to you. And that goes in, I know someone asked a question before, in your proposals to your customers. Not about your company, all about them. What's their problem? What's their need? What do they need, right? And how are you going to help them with their problem? The more you talk about them, the more they understand it, the more they want to do business with you. Most important thing in sales. Number 7, be different, right? Why are you different than everyone else? Okay, if you're not different, if you're not way different, then you're going to sound like the same thing. It's going to be tough out there. Okay, so we had this morning, it was great the way the ladies presented how their company is so different. They focused a lot, even when their competition came in, how different they were. But even if you're in a service business and a lot of people do something similar, you want to focus on how you do it differently. And if you want to grow your business, right, if someone's saying, well, I'm a lawyer, she's a lawyer, and I do communication or business consulting, she does. Well, what's your niche? If I were sitting, what's my strategy that's going to make me different than the person next to me, and I'm going to focus on that. So one of my earlier companies, we were an event company. And so there's a lot of people who do events. So what was different for us? So we figured out that if we went into the hotels and we partnered with the hotels, and we put our people inside the hotel and said, you know what, you guys focus on food and beverage because that's what you sell. We'll be the in-house event planners for the hotel. And that was different. No other event companies were offering to be in-house in the hotels. Well, guess what? We got the contract in the hotel, and each hotel was worth $1 million worth of business for us. And so we'd add each hotel, and that's how we did it. And that was the differentiator because it was easy for the customer. They could use the company in the hotel. They could bill it to the master. Well, that was our differentiator. Of course, we could be creative in it, but really that was the key differentiator. So I would really think about that. And if you're thinking of a product, you really got to make sure that you understand how it's different. Another is you have to be an expert in your field. People buy from the people who are like they think are the best, right? Or they know. I mean, I walk in, so let me tell you kind of what I do today is I have to walk into a corporation. Like I have a client I'm selling now, which is WellPoint. They have Blue Cross Blue Shield, a lot of the insurance companies. And part of what we do is we automate a process. And so I just sit with accounts payable, I just sit with all the event planners, I just sit with procurement, and fourth, finance. And they all have to work together to make these events happen. So I have to listen to all of them, how their processes are, and then I have to listen and tell them, okay, but if you do it this way, this is how you're gonna save 10%, 30%, whatever else, okay? Not, my software supports that, but they're buying because I'm telling them how to automate their process because I'm an expert in understanding it, right? And then all of a sudden, wait, you understand it, you can even help us, figure out the best process around here, regardless of how we use the software, right? That's how I'm able to get those clients. So anyone, you could apply it to anything you've got, be the expert, they're the one. You guys think about it. If you're gonna buy from someone, you want the best, right? You wanna know the person who knows everything. And then clearly explain your value proposition. So I think that's, your value proposition is what do you do that provides value? And that's something that I think most people have to practice. So I'm doing a session later about your elevator pitch, but your value proposition when you're selling is, here's what I am, here's what I do, here's why it's different, right? And being able to do that right away. When you're gonna go raise money, they wanna understand, well, what's your value proposition? What do you do? How are you different? When you go to a client, how are you? What are you different? Everything should start with your value proposition. So I was talking to someone who's gonna, maybe do a DJ business. Well, why are you different than the other DJs, right? That's the question. Right away, you need to understand that, and you need to be thinking about that. And this is something that entrepreneurs are all guilty of, is that we have such great ideas, we have so many things, and we just want to do them all, right? But you got to focus. Like that's the biggest thing that kills you is you got to focus. So focus on one target market. Focus on one idea, right? Just make sure you are not going to be able to be everything to everyone. Start with one and then grow it. You keep shelve those ideas. So that's one of the things we had to do. And I made mistakes, and I think a lot of people do also, trying to do 3 things at the same time. But you know what now I've learned is, okay, great idea, put it on the shelf, right? Write it up, put it out, and when I'm ready, I'm gonna go look at all my ideas, I'm gonna pull them back out, and some of them don't even apply anymore. But I think that is really critical. Big one is gratitude. Okay, so gratitude also is for yourself to, as successful as you become, which I'm sure everybody would be very successful, is just to always remember that all these people who helped you get there. It's a very stabilizing. There's a lot of people you can meet that become very successful and they just have no time for you anymore and they think they're on top of the world, and really you don't get anywhere there. Gratitude to your customers. That first customer who gave you that chance, never forget them. Always go back to them. Always mention them. Always thank them. It makes a huge difference. Any customer that comes, I'm so thankful for your business. You're not doing them, they're not doing you a favor, you're doing them. Be thankful. Your employees, as I call them, your team members, thank them. When was the last time you said thank you to all the people who worked so hard for you, right? How do you show your gratitude? How do you thank them? And to those who help you, right? Everyone in this room, all those chapter leaders that came up here and give their free time, how many people really said thank you for giving all those hours of your time to help us? Thank you to Chaya, right? For all of us to be here and to learn all of this, to have these opportunities. And just sit and think about that, it's really important because you could get so lost and you forget. Thank you to your family, to your children. And of course, thank you to Hashem, right? Thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for every opportunity that you have. And sometimes you have to sit and you just have to sit there and really think about each day how that you could be thankful. And my last and my final is really around Emunah. And one of the things that's very interesting, and I find this across a lot of business owners, is that somehow because you own your own business, maybe you feel like you're in more control of things, But really, if you sit and look every day, you can find so many ways that you feel like Hashem intercedes. Like the littlest things, like, you just one day you're like, I just need a little boost. I just need something to pick me back up again. And then you got a sale, right? Things happen. Like, you're like, how did this happen? How did it wind up that this person called me and this little thing happened? If you just open your eyes, it's amazing how much you can see. And I've read so many stories from other very successful business people, how much you can see. And you know what the bigger thing is? We work so hard, right? All of us. And you know what? You can't be perfect. And you know what my mindset is, I work as hard as I can. I'm getting up for this big presentation, right? This big deal. And like, everyone's like, aren't you nervous? Aren't you nervous? You know what? I say, I've done everything I can. And after that, it's up to Hashem. Whatever happens, happens. If I don't get the deal, it wasn't meant to be. So there's this calming effect. At a certain point when you know you've done everything, that you just say, you know what? I have my emunah, and whatever it is going to be. And you practice that, and that's how, for me at least, and I know for a lot of others, you get through a lot of these things. And sometimes I look back at some of the really disappointing things in business, like huge deals that fell apart, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that didn't happen, right? Because of this and that. So it's really, really helpful to be able to do that. And then, of course, is to daven, right? Like, we're doing the business, we're so busy, we're everything else, but truly taking that opportunity, I find especially, like, so maybe, you talk about your kids and your health or whatever else, I also daven about business, right? Whatever is supposed to happen, help me, make me strong, make sure whatever potential I have, help me to be able to achieve that potential. And I think that is really helpful for all of us, especially here, and being the most successful people and the most successful businesses we can be. So those are my 10 tips that hopefully were helpful for you guys.